Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks for joining me today for a video about something that I rarely get in and I'm excited to talk about here. And that's going to be some fractional currency notes that are actually what you would call specimens. And there's two very main delineations that we're going to get into here that are super fun to know. And we'll talk about that right now. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, do the algorithm. First and foremost, so here we have the 3rd cent issue fractional currency. This is the wide margin specimen. And of course, you can see when they call it a wide margin specimen, the note itself actually would stop just like a fraction, maybe an eighth of an inch off of this issue right here. These are really a super fun collectible, especially if you can find them in like what I would say is lower grades. And by lower grades, I mean this specific example here is an AU50, but the note looks like it's fresh and brand new. What's fun about these guys is you get to see the word specimen here, stamped. They're uniface pieces. I mean, I guess the term specimen being stamped on one side means they're no longer uniface, but generally speaking, this is a uniface piece. Most of these types of banknotes were actually adhered to or glued to what's known as a currency shield, a fractional currency shield. These were given out at banks so bank tellers could compare the notes to what they were getting in front of them, because over a very small window of time, you had dozens and dozens of different types of these notes coming out, and it was very confusing. So very cool. I mean, a note like this, the pop reports are funny because, and I don't know if PMG's website was just kind of wonky. From what I can tell, most of your specimen notes of this type only have 30 to 60 notes known for each type of note. Meanwhile, you have these other notes here that say specimen really big on them that are actually something a little bit different. Whenever you see the punched cancel whole versions, these are actually going to be experimental notes. So the experimental notes, these were, they were using sometimes different types, but they were using different types of paper is what they were experimenting with the most to see what it was like. This note's kind of cool because it has little annotations on the back. $4. This is from the John J. Ford collection. So super cool note in my opinion. That was probably John J. Ford's annotations on the back. And just a really cool piece. Once again, I had a hard time looking up some of the pop reports on these because I think they may have had multiple numbering systems. For example, this note here showed a pop of 2, with this being the finest known. In the meantime, Heritage said that this is a more well-known specimen, and I didn't find many examples though. So interesting stuff all the way around. Once again, you have a note here that is uniface. Fun fact, by the way, this note you'll notice has the annotations on the back. Says it has the annotations on the back, and is still graded 64. So annotations, kind of like chop marks, depending on the day of the week you're looking at them, can mean something or mean nothing. This one is interesting. This has very heavy coarse fibers in it. You can see the difference. They look like wrinkles and folds, but it's reminiscent of almost colonial currency in the way that stuff comes across. Whereas this note here is very smooth and flat. So experimental notes and specimens serve two different purposes. So even though these also say specimen on them, mostly when you see the specimens that are uniface that don't have the punches, they were most likely used at a bank, in a bank situation. So sometimes these were also in books or booklets. And you could get those at the banks. You'll see a bank that'll have a book of these. Sometimes if you see a little bit of gum or glue on the back of these, it's because they were removed from a book or booklet or a currency shield. Right? So on most of your experimental notes, these guys, it looks like there's between 1 and 10 known. for each one. And for your specimens, it looks like there's on average between 30 and 60. Of course, that'll vary widely. There's probably some super specialized stuff. This note here is less than $200. These, I think, are both north of 500 on these guys. I believe this one's going to be about 750 on this guy, and this guy's closer to 500. But on anything like these, you know, you're getting into the super niche markets where you have a very, very small handful of items known or available. And their price points relative to, say, if this was a US coin with 30 to 60 known in mint state or near mint state, you would probably be looking at multiples of the price point of what these trade at. So, hope you learned a little bit of something today. If you collect specimen notes and experimental fractional currency, leave some comments, drop some knowledge. Thanks for being here. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.